One of the most important maintenance jobs that you can do on your bike, other than to clean it, is to check the wear on your chain. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you check your chain quick and simply yourself. Welcome back to the channel. I'm John, the Ribble Valley Cyclist. The chain on your bike over time will wear, and it gives the illusion that it's actually stretched. It's not quite what's going on there. The chain is made up of individual rollers, and what happens over time, those rollers start to wear and they become slack and sloppy, and the gap between them starts to expand. Now that tiny gap is minuscule between sort of link 1 and link 2, but as you work your way down the chain and add that slack on further and further and further, you start to get a chain that looks like it's longer. Now, the result of that is it will put excess wear on all of the components that the chain passes through, and that can be very expensive. So for example, on this bike, that replacement chainring, just over £100. That cassette, £50 or £60. However, a chain, genuine Shimano one, don't be caught out, there are fakes out there, I'm going to do a video on it, from a reputable retailer, you can pick them up, OEM, in other words, not in a box like that, for about £20. So, if your chain starts to wear, it's very much in your interest to get it replaced before it starts to damage those more expensive parts. So as I was saying earlier, that stretch, as they call it, is wear, excessive wear, in the pins and the rollers within the chain. Now, in order to determine whether that wear is excessive or not, you need to be able to measure it. And the first mistake that people make is they try to measure it when it's dirty. And if the chain is dirty, you're not going to get an accurate measurement. So the first job, in this particular case, is for me to pause the camera and clean the chain.
A few minutes later.
And there you go, as if by magic, a lovely clean chain. Should probably do a chain cleaning video, but you know what, that's for another day. Right, okay, so before I explain to you how you should measure your chain, I'm first going to talk to you about some of the methods that you'll find out and about that you should, in my personal opinion, ignore. However, if you think I'm wrong and they shouldn't be ignored, please do comment below, because I'd be interested to hear. Okay, so the first one, get either a ruler, a tape measure, or a vernier gauge, and either between 12 or 24 links, measure the distance between the first pin and either the 12th or the 24th pin, and compare it to something that I can't remember. And the reason I've not researched it and got you the exact information is twofold. First of all, it's a really bad idea. And second of all, I don't want you to go away and do it. So I don't want to tell you it, because it will go wrong and you could damage your bike. Right, so that's the first one that I don't recommend you do. The second one, and you'll hear a lot of people say this, including that big YouTube cycling channel, is to get the chain at the front of the chain ring here and pull it. And if there's a gap, you need to replace the chain. Now, let's just look at that for a second. How much of a gap matters? Because I know how old this chainring is, and I know how old the chain is. They're both almost new. But if I pull it, there's a gap. So how much of a gap is a bad gap and how much of a gap is a good gap?
I have wasps in my brain!
And also, if the chain ring teeth are badly worn, but you've got a new chain, then if you pulled, it would just show you that there's a problem. It wouldn't tell you there's a problem with the chain, it would tell you there's a problem somewhere. Because the teeth are worn on the sprocket, the chain will lift away. There'll be slop. So all it's telling you is there's a problem somewhere. So this method, all it's saying, first of all, it's not actually telling you what you should do other than if there's a gap. And the second of all, it's just telling you there's a problem somewhere, but it's not telling you where the problem is. So therefore, in my opinion, that's also a really bad idea. Especially when you consider the way you're supposed to do it is so easy. Okay, so that are the bad ones out of the way. So what you now need to know is how are you supposed to do it. And if you go into any reputable bike shop or speak to any reputable mechanic, they will all do it one way. And it's a tool that every cycling enthusiast should own. And it's that. The chain checker tool. So yes, unfortunately, if you haven't got one, you're going to need to buy one. But the good news is you can buy them on Amazon and you'll get it tomorrow and it will cost you £2, euro, dollar. So there's no reason to not have one of these. If you've got a nice bike, get yourself a chain checker tool because this is the only accurate way of doing it. However, you need to know how to use it properly and you need to understand what it's telling you. So let's take a look at that now. So it's all well and good having the right tool to do the job, but if you don't know what the tool's telling you, then there's no point in having the tool or using it. So before we use it, let's go on the bench and have a look at what this stuff means. Okay, so the thing you need to look at is this end here. And what you're looking at, let's just get those closer to the camera, are those numbers. You will notice that it says 0.1 on one and 0.75 on the other. And what this basically means is when you put this one in, it measures whether the chain is 0.75% longer than it was when the chain was manufactured. And yes, you've got it. This one will tell you whether the chain is 1% worn or 1% longer than it was when the chain was first new. Right, now we know what it all means, let's try it out. Okay, so we have the tool and we've now gone on the bench and we've learnt what the stuff means. So all we now need to do is learn how to use it. So let's try it on our bike with a nice clean chain. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try the 0.75% worn measurement. And one of the most common mistakes people make is they don't realise that it's supposed to go on a roller adjacent to an inner plate. Let's do it on that one over there so you can see it. So there's the roller of an inner plate. And the last hook there goes on there. And then we drop it down. It's also important to remember you should always do this on the bottom section of the chain because the derailleur is pulling the chain and stretching it out. So we've got a nice tight chain. And as you can see, the 0.75, if this was worn, it would drop through like that. But it's not. Then obviously, if we then try it the other way, on the 1% worn, because it's not 75%, 0.75% worn, it's not going to be 1% worn. So let me get that inside of the camera so you can see. On the inner plate, roller on there, drop it down, and as you can see, nowhere near. But for comparison, let's now take this bike down and let's put another bike up on the rack that's got a problem with the chain. So if you're finding this content useful, do me a huge favour and hit the like button. And if bike maintenance and servicing is your thing, then make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon, and then you'll get notified every time I upload a video. So for comparison, let's now take a look at this bike. Filthy, dirty gravel bike, complete with panniers, Caradice. Handmade in Nelson in Lancashire by little old ladies. Check them out, I'll put a link in the description below. They make some really nice panniers. Anyway, forget the panniers, we care about the chain. So this bike has been working very, very hard, as you can see. Now, the chain, as you can also see, is filthy dirty. So it goes against what I was saying earlier, where you should clean the chain. However, I know that chain's knackered. So, if I clean it, what? More knackered? Now let's put our chain checker on this one and see what it looks like. There's an inner plate, there's the roller, that edge goes against it, drop it down, and then let's see what happens. Boom, drops straight through. 0.75. So what that's telling us, buy a new chain and replace the chain. But you don't have to stop riding the bike, but you need to replace this chain. So that's what that's saying. Now let's find out if we need to stop riding our bike. End roller, there. Drop it through. No, we don't need to stop. Ooh, if we force it, it goes. I bet you if I cleaned this chain, it would drop through. Now, if bike maintenance is your thing, and let's say, for example, you've got rubbing disc brakes, then you should check that video up there, where I show you exactly how to get rid of that problem. And if you've ever wondered how hard it really is to change headset bearings, check out that video down there, because I show you exactly how to do it. Thanks for watching.